Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the Nrgy Speaks Life podcast. I'm Nrgy, the self-mastery coach, speaker, mediator, and author. On this show, we talk about everything personal development and self-improvement for those who want to achieve self-mastery. We will share tips, techniques, and strategies that you can take action on today. Today's guest is Greg, and we are discussing mindset and purpose discovery. Greg, thank you so much for joining us today. And please introduce yourself and let our listeners know what's your connection to the topics that we are discussing.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast. I really appreciate it. And again, my name is Greg Campbell, and I'm a voiceover artist. And I like to think of myself as just a storyteller because that's what I enjoy doing. I've been involved in broadcasting for over 25 years. I started out as a television reporter of all things. Way back in the 90s. 90s seemed like they were just here yesterday. And I'm not going to tell you my age, but I started in that time period and started as a reporter and producer for news and sports. And I really enjoyed doing it. It brought me here. I grew up in Flint, Michigan, and I moved to Florida. That's what brought me here in the late 90s, a brand new station that was starting up in Tampa. But I got out of television, and years later, I didn't think I would ever go back to broadcasting, but I was told by several people that I have a nice voice and I should do audiobooks. And so that kind of brought me into doing voiceovers. And I think in terms of relating to the topic, I think I'm a person, I like to think of me being a person who kind of reinvented myself. I'm very, I'm a person that don't give up. I have a dream and I'm committed. And I'm one of those people that I believe you just keep going forward. You don't look back, you don't let things, we all have some things that harm us in some sort of way to get us down, our confidence down. But for me, I just feel like you got to keep moving forward. And that's my motto in living in life.
Absolutely. You said a key word, commitment. For me, it's just in my own life, and especially when I'm working with clients, one of the foundations that I introduce to some or help to reiterate for others is no matter what your goal is, no matter where you're headed in life, in order to get there, in order to achieve it, you must commit. And in the commitment, you must follow through. And so I like also how you mentioned you reinvented yourself. So tell us, how did you do that? What did it take? I'm sure it possibly involved letting go of some things, maybe some habits, and creating new habits. So I'm going to let you just kind of explain to us, how did you reinvent yourself? What was the old you and what's the new you?
Well, as I mentioned, I was in broadcasting, and television was such a demanding business and very cutthroat business. I mean, I love the job aspect, but you move a lot. And I was getting to the point where I wanted to settle down someplace, and I wanted to move someplace warm, living in Michigan all my life. But when I got out of the business, I knew that I didn't want to go back to TV, but I part of me always felt like something in broadcasting still was in my blood and I wanted to do. So I had never thought about voiceovers. So like I said, someone told me, you should look into that. And I really didn't think seriously about it. I was thinking, well, um, I'm done with this. I didn't know what to expect if I was to pursue it. So I was kind of talking myself out of it. And but I kept being pushed just from outside people that say, you should try this. And so I said, what the heck? I looked into it, and the rest has been history. I really enjoy it. I enjoy this more than anything I've ever done. I think I'm better at this than anything I've ever done. And so that's what brings me here today, is that me reinventing myself is I didn't give up. And I was curious to try something different, and it worked out well.
Awesome. And basically, it sounds like you kept it simple. You used your natural God-given talent
Hmm.
and you just developed it more. And look at
Hmm.
you. You are living your life doing something that you enjoy doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It, and I think a lot of it deals with fear. Sometimes you can talk yourself out of doing something and trying something new. I mean, I think that's what I've learned the time I've been on this earth. That's what life is about, is trying new things and giving new things a shot. You could talk, everybody gets comfortable in what they currently do, but what I've really experienced, all the good things that I've experienced in life has been through trying, just trying. Um, I think that that's something that people should always think about, is not giving up on something or talking themselves out of something. That fear and living in fear can be really bad, really bad. So I try not to do that. It's tough. It's very hard because we have so many things, elements in our life that pushes us into that direction of, well, I don't think you should try that, or I don't think you should do that. And but myself, I always overthink, overshoot that, and try to go to the positive way.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people, like you said, they're living in fear and they are allowing that fear to keep them from achieving something
Hmm.
great, something
Absolutely.
new, something refreshing that
Hmm.
they are desiring. They want
Absolutely.
it. However, they're paralyzed by that fear. And
Absolutely.
fear is something that we create within ourselves. And
Absolutely.
for a lot of people, it's usually, let me say it this way. For a lot of people, it's not that, how did I just learned this. For some people, it's not fear of failure, just straight like that. It's typically fear of failing in front of someone else and then
Yeah,
the opinions that may follow.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because we fail all the time
Hmm.
in private.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not afraid
Exactly.
to try something when no one else is looking.
Right. Right.
But it's as
Exactly.
soon as we introduce other people, an audience, that's where it's like, okay, never mind. I changed my
Hmm.
mind
Exactly.
because we're afraid
Exactly.
of what another person is going to think of us. We're
Yep.
afraid of what another person, how they may judge us.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
Exactly.
oftentimes, other people don't care.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
We are putting way more pressure on the situation, on the thing than what's necessary.
Exactly. I mean, I could have really, just kept listening to my inner voice in two ways. One, in a negative way, and thinking about the past in terms of working in TV and how that was and that experience, and just, not even giving this a try, but taking that step to find out more about it. That was the other half of me of saying, well, why don't you just see what it's like, or just give it a try, or get some information on it. And that's what I did. I mean, it's so much of just trying to do that opened me up to so many different things within the industry, and meeting new people, and developing different relationships and different partnerships. So it's been very positive. And if I wish I had tried it years earlier. And someone told me, it's better late than never. But just finding out something about it led to me doing, national commercials, or doing, numerous audiobooks. And and enjoying it so much. I really, really enjoy it, and enjoy it more than the other part of broadcast, doing TV news. So I'm so happy that I took that journey and took that step to try something different.
Absolutely. And it was that first step. That first step
Hmm.
is usually the hardest.
Yep.
And that first step is where we can begin creating the momentum. But
Hmm.
until taking that first step, you're going to remain where you are. You're going to remain where you've been. And I like how you said, you know what, let me just see. Let me get a little bit more information. Let me
Hmm.
try this. Just try it. And so for
Hmm.
those who are listening, yes, just try it. If you have to do more research, because one thing that I've learned is a lot of people fail to take that first step for lack of knowledge, or due to their lack of knowledge of whatever it
Hmm.
is that they are wanting to pursue or achieve. If
Hmm.
that's the case, do more research.
Yep.
Do
Exactly.
find more information. Figure out, okay, what would be the best first step to take.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It's you know, th- I think that surrounding yourself with positive people also is a good thing. Because the things that I've tried to do in my life have been, I try to I've dreamed big, and but I've had, people who uh, were re they were more reluctant than me to um, for me to pursue my dreams, even going into TV, and even doing voiceovers. Um, when I told someone one time that I was thinking about doing that, um, you know, I, they weren't as excited to hear about me doing that. And I'm like, this is my life. This is what I enjoy, and I'm going to give it a shot. And I'm so glad that I did. So, really sharing. Sometimes you have to be, um, I wouldn't say cautious, but you can't share every dream with some people. But you have to make sure you make like I said, bring people in your life that's going to be a positive impact, and they're always when they know how driven you are, then they'll know that you're trying to be successful at something, and they'll believe in you. So that's the way I look at it, and I share that with my kids, that the fact that what do you want to do, and if you this is something that you're focused on, and something you believe that you can accomplish, I'm going to support you. I'm going to be there for you, because look at myself. I've done a couple of things that um, was a lot of hard work to just get into, and was able to be successful. So, I just try to be positive in every sort of way when I pursue something.
Absolutely. And like you mentioned, surrounding yourself with people, supportive people, is so important. I will
Mhm.
add to that by saying surround yourself with people who are also achievers, who are
Yep.
also goal setters,
Hmm.
because when surrounding yourself from people who are complacent is where you may get the response of, they may not be as excited for you, or they may try to talk you out of doing whatever the thing is.
Right.
And what I've learned is that that's usually because they haven't achieved their own personal goals that they've set, and
Yeah.
they will find it hard to cheer you on,
Hmm.
seeing that you are pursuing it by any means necessary, and they
Hmm.
haven't. So
Exactly.
yeah, you have to be careful with,
Yep.
just like you mentioned, be careful with who you share your
Hmm.
goals, your visions, your desires with.
Hmm. Yeah. Because it's, I mean, I'm glad that I've made the choices that I've made. I had certain goals when I wanted to get into broadcasting, and I was able to achieve all those things that I wanted to do at the time. And I talked to you about this a little before we got started. Was I wanted to move someplace warm. Growing up in Michigan, I was like, one of my goals was I wanted to, at the time, I wanted to work in a top 20 market, and I wanted to move someplace warm. So I looked at Atlanta and then Tampa just came through for me just via a former colleague of mine, and the rest has been history. So once I got here, I was like, yeah, I can deal with 80 degrees in January. So, that's what this has been home for me, and this is the only home my kids know. So I mean, we go back up north from time to time when it's warm, but I was like, I'm not going back. So that was another motivation for me to pursue my dream and get someplace where I wanted to be as well. So absolutely.
Yes, indeed. So let's continue a little bit more on the mindset area. So, with you
Sure.
being a voiceover artist and having pursued this career field, this dream of yours, what can you share? Any tips or strategies that worked for you when it comes to mindset that helped you push through and get to where you are today?
Well, mindset is a big role. I mean, you have to have a lot of faith, I think, in working in this business because you have to approach a lot of people to sell who you are. You're definitely marketing yourself. So the mindset you have to have is that, I'm the product, and why do I have to convince someone, why would it be a good reason to hire me? So, I have to put out good work and different types of voiceovers to, you know, bring a production company in to put me on their roster to, use me for future projects or agent to sign me. Um, I have to put out good work and market myself, and I have the mindset that most of in this industry is marketing. I mean, I would say there's a saying that 80% of this is marketing and 20% is you being in the booth doing your work. And that is so true. That is really true. So you have to really have that mindset of almost like a salesman that, you're going out and calling a lot of people or emailing a lot of people, production companies and things like that to introduce yourself to them to, again, you're the product and showing them how you can help them.
Absolutely. Can you think of, and if so, can you provide an example of a setback or an obstacle that you encountered on this journey? And in order to just let our listeners know, someone who's listening, they may not be, in the field of becoming a voiceover artist in particular, but still, the concept could fit no matter what the industry is. So, is there a setback or an obstacle that may stick out to you that you overcame?
Well, one of the great things about this experience, I haven't had too many of those, but one of the things that um, I didn't, there was starting out and doing audiobooks, I was struggling with that at first because it's a lot of work. Whereas doing a commercial, a 30-second commercial, I mean, that's just a lot smaller script. But when you're doing an audiobook and you're having time constraints on it, like deadlines to meet. I mean, I've done books that were 11 hours long or 6 hours long, and so one book I can think of in particular that I was not prepared to do, and I rushed it, and I wasn't happy with the outcome. But I had to have the mindset that that I learned from it, learn from that performance, and you have to move on. Again, you can't dwell on it. There's going to be those times where you may, unfortunately, if you're not, you have to make sure you're well prepared so you can do a great performance. So definitely learn from that, and that was a setback for me, but it was a good learning experience as well. That after doing doing the job and doing the work, I was like, felt like I could have done a lot better. But I now make sure I'm well prepared and able to hit deadlines, able to communicate well with an author. There was so much to learn, and it was kind of good on the job training for me. But I definitely learned from it and gotten past that.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that you learned from something that you may not have been, as satisfied with as far as the result or the outcome. And that's important
Hmm.
for those who are listening. That's important to understand. Don't avoid doing something just because you are afraid it's not going to be perfect or it's not going to work out exactly as you planned or thought. Because
Hmm.
as long as you continue to move forward and push through it, there's so much more to gain from the
Yeah,
experience.
absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, that's been kind of I can think of things that's motivated me from the time I was a kid to now that stuck with me. And one of the things that stuck with me from when I participated in sports, and so I was a big sports fan, and I played sports, and I remember, um, and I taught this to my daughter that try to be first. And an example of that was on my this was when I was in the sixth grade, and our best player on our basketball team, he was struggling one night, and our coach was just, he was just very, very upset, um, and he turned to all of us on the bench, the guys who was on the bench, and he yelled and said, who wants to go in for Terry? And he yelled again, who wants to go in for Terry? And nobody said anything. Who wants to go in for Terry? And I said, I do. And from that time period, me, volunteering to go in, he always turned to me. I was like, in basketball, the sixth man is a very important. I wasn't a starter, but if somebody was out injured, I was the first person to fill in. But if I hadn't spoke up for myself, I hadn't said anything, I would have been just like everybody else. I would have probably rode the bench the rest of the year. And but from that point on, I was always the first person off the bench to relieve somebody, and I played. I played a lot, and I contributed a lot, and I got better, and that built my confidence for everything that I moved forward. And it's still to this day, I remember that moment, and that was so long ago, but that was just such a great learning experience for me because I could have been shy. I could have not said anything, just like the rest of the kids on the bench. But I was just like, let me put my hand up. And I didn't know if I wanted to put my hand up because he was yelling. pretty loud. But I did, and that moment has always stuck with me the rest of my life. That I tried, I you know, I always try to be first, and it took 3 tries, but I got it, and the rest was history that year, and I played well and contributed.
Ooh, I as you were talking, a I don't even know what to call it. Not an no, it's not an epiphany. Maybe another teachable moment here is most people would rather get their confidence before getting into the game, but
Hmm.
it actually works the other way. Sometimes you have to get into the game in order to build your confidence. You have to get
Yep,
in there. You have to
exactly.
step out. You have to start. You have to do. You have to take action. Taking action is where your confidence starts to build, starts to
Hmm.
rise, it starts to develop. As opposed to what a lot of people do, they sit on the sidelines. Oh, I like this. Yes, they sit on the sidelines and they're waiting. They're waiting for like,
Hmm.
okay, I'm getting there.
Hmm.
Here comes the confidence. As soon as I'm ready, okay, I think I'm ready. It's like they're
Yeah.
waiting on the sidelines to for their confidence to get to a certain level for them to then take action when, like you said, they'll ride the sidelines, they'll sit that bench for the whole season,
Hmm.
as opposed to saying, you know what, let me just try, let me take that first step, let me do. And then from there is when you're able to start gaining the experience, real time, hands
Hmm.
on, and that's where the confidence starts to build. Oh, I like
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I've always learned from that, and that was something that, like I said, it stuck with me all, for the rest of my life because as a kid, I was afraid, but it turned out to be positive, and it worked out to be great. And every every other, participating in sports for the rest of high school and then in college, I always thought of that moment, and that whenever I feel like something, even if it's in business, um, something I had a little doubt in my mind, I can kind of refer to that. I always kind of refer to that as just go ahead, Greg, just give it a shot. And, things most of the time when I've done that, it's worked out well for me. So, and like I said, I try to pass that on to my kids, but, I know they have to have their own experiences, but being able to kind of coach them in that way is helpful because they have to like I said, give an effort, try, and then see what happens. But you got to at least try.
For sure. And for anyone that's listening who may be a client of mine or who may have been following some of my content up until this point, I've mentioned to figure out what's your one thing. And Greg just described his one thing. Your one thing is something that you can refer to whenever you are coming into a difficult situation, and when you're coming up against an obstacle and it's just like, can I, do I want to, how do I, it's that situation, that opportunity, but something is just in the way. And if you can refer back to your one thing, that thing from the past that you overcame, and you use that as your own motivation, you use that as the thing to push you through, because you can say, well, if I could do that back then, I can take care of this right now. So that
Hmm.
is an example. Greg just explained it. He didn't even know that that was going to be a question that came up. But that is an example of your one thing, something that you can use as your push whenever you're coming against something else that may feel or seem to be difficult or scary. Thank you,
Hmm.
Greg.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. So let's
So,
talk about purpose discovery. So, are you, as a voiceover artist, is this your purpose? Are you operating in your purpose?
yes, absolutely. As I was mentioning earlier, this is, I found my calling. I really enjoy this. Like I said, more than anything I've ever done. I think I'm better at this than anything I've ever done. So for me, like I said, I wish I had discovered this many years ago, but the industry was so much more different than it was 25, 30 years ago because now everything is done in your own home computer. Technology is so much more better. Before, when you were a voiceover artist, you had to go to a studio and, an agent booked jobs for you and all that. But now everybody works from home. So, um, yeah. So, I mean, but I know that this is what I mean, the things that um, I'm able to express myself a lot more better in doing this than in anything I've ever done. And like I said, in broadcasting, when I was a sports reporter, I mean, that was fun. But there's so many different roles and ways that you can tell a story. That's what I really like about it. It's challenging, but I'm confident when I go into doing it. So I mean, there's a certain niche that I do in voiceovers. Like I do a lot of corporate videos, like I said, audiobooks. I do commercials and things like that. But um, it's challenging, but I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy it's going to bring a different part of me out. And so that's what I like about it so much. So this is my calling for sure. I really, really enjoy this.
Awesome. The moment that you, let's just call it that aha moment, when you realized, I've found my purpose. What was that moment like for you? And or whichever question is easier, how did you know that you are operating in your purpose or that are you've answered that calling? How did you know?
Um, I think it was my first job that I got. It was funny. I booked the job from what is called they call it pay to play sites where you paid for a site to send you auditions. And the first job that I got was it was a promo for a soccer game against for two colleges. I think it was Pepperdine and Cal Poly. It was soccer. It was a tease, and it was going to be ran on a national network. And that's when I knew I was just like, okay, I like this. And so I did it. It worked out well, and from that point on, I was kind of like on a high. And every time I do this, that's one of the things that um, I think I get a really rise from this, from doing it. And it's the two things that give me a rise is when I know I booked a job and when I see the finished product. And every time I do a finished product, it reminds me of why I do this. I enjoy it. I love to see the creativity of it. Um, the writing. That's one of the things that can excite me sometimes is when I transferred a transition over from TV to this is good writing. Like when I did that spot, the first couple words the first sentence, I was like, this is this is mine. I'm going to do well with this. I'm going to make it my own. And so those are the things that I enjoy so much is, just the simple words and how to express them and writing. There's been times when I see something and I was just like, I already can envision how it's going to sound, how I'm going to say it. And so those things all give me kind of a rise, and that's the reason why I just love it so much.
Awesome. I'm going to ask you this question, and you may
Hmm.
not have experienced it, you may have, but I just want to know when you know that the next morning that you wake up, you're going to record for a new project or continue the recording of a project. Have you ever had nights where it's a sleepless night, but it's because you're so excited to kind of get back to it? Or no?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, because I mean, I guess that's a kind of an example of me again saying I really enjoy and love it. Is that yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of things that where I've been anxious and want to get to it, get back to it. Um, Absolutely. So I mean, that's happened quite a bit. Or if I book something and I know I have a recording coming up and I'm excited about it. Sometimes, when we book stuff, um, one of the cool things about technology is that there's a software that where I can just like we're talking right now. Um, my agent has booked something where they're in New York and I'm here in Tampa, Florida, and they have the person who is the representative of the commercial or the company. They have the producer. They have the audio person, and they're all listening to me talk. And so those are things that I want to make a good impression on them. So if I have like a thing that's coming up, I want to get the script first. I want to go over the script the night before, and it's just all that kind of deals with that anxious feeling that you're referring to. So when I get that, that 2 o'clock booking where we're going to meet up and do this, I'm kind of fired up. So absolutely.
Awesome. And I'm going to ask another question. I'm asking these two questions for a reason. I'll tie it together in a moment. This may not be true for you. However, if how do I ask this? If you didn't have to worry about bills being paid and making and earning and a living from your voiceover work, would it still be something that you would do for free?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I absolutely, I enjoy it that much. Um, and there's opportunities for new people getting into the business to do volunteer work. And so that's something I've kind of been blessed in the sense that I haven't done, but I've thought about doing. I thought about doing some PSAs for a corporation once, and it didn't pan out, but that was going to be on a volunteer basis where I didn't get paid. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, I love it that much that I would do it for free. Yeah.
Okay, good, good. All right. So the reason I was asking those two additional questions is a lot of people don't know what their purpose is, and they don't know if they are currently operating in their purpose or not. And you've mentioned some of the other key words of how I like to give a person an example of what to look for, as they are going through their discovery process. And those key words are: is it challenging and exciting?
Hmm.
And do you have sleepless nights because you're looking forward to doing it?
Hmm.
And would you do it for free just
Hmm.
because you enjoy it that much, because you're that passionate about it?
Exactly.
Those are some great just examples of things you can look for as you are going through your process of discovering what your purpose is, what your calling is. So I wanted to get those other two keywords in there to kind of help me
Sure.
complete the picture for those who are listening, because you've discovered yours and it's possible for others to do so as well.
Hmm.
And I'm going to, you mentioned something about having an agent. So, for someone who may be in an industry, whether it be voiceover artistry or not, or something else, how can someone find an agent? How can someone get connected to an agent? What worked for you, and or what other information do you have that can help others find them an agent?
To get in to pursue if they want to pursue voiceovers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the agent part comes a little bit later. I mean, you have to do good work to get an agent. So the first thing that you want to do is get coaching. And I'm starting to do that myself. I just started coaching. I have a couple of students. But that's the first thing is that you want to get a good coach because you have to put together a demo. So you need to be able to practice how to, you know, put put your speak like for a commercial or something like that to be able to practice how to tell a story. And that comes with coaching. That comes with training. So that's one of the first things. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, and I still have a coach as well because the industry changes so much. But that's the first thing is finding a good coach. You got to put together a good demo, and then from there, you got to get a website, and then you start approaching people about, hey, hire me as a voiceover artist. So those are the first steps, and then once you get some experience in doing some good work, that's where an agent will say, hey, I want to sign this guy and or this girl, and and take it from there. So it takes a while to get an agent. When I first started, I think I was in my third year of doing this before I got an agent, or second or third year. So absolutely.
Got it. And did the agent approach you, or did you search for and find an agent?
Yeah, I searched for, and then I had a friend of mine who had an agent, and it was more on a referral because a lot of times, agents will Um, that's how they will book people. It's like they have so many people on their roster already that they'll say they're not bringing in new talent unless it's a referral. And so this individual referred me, and that's how I got one of my agents as well. So I have about four agents. So because there's so many different regions of the country. So I have someone in New York and LA, and so it's yeah. So I have, you know, agents are everywhere. So they're in a lot of different regions of the country.
Awesome. Now let's can you give us some examples of where we could have maybe heard your voice, maybe any
Yeah,
commercials that stick
yeah,
out, or you mentioned
yeah,
sports and things like that. So let us know a little bit of what you've done.
yeah. I one of the things I'm really proud of is I did a documentary that aired on PBS for Shaw University. That's the oldest HBCU in the South, and there was a story being done about that. And I was approached by um, the producer to do that, and that won an Emmy. I didn't win an Emmy personally for my performance, but for the overall production, it won an Emmy, and I was proud to be a part of being the voice for that documentary, and it was a great documentary. So, and that was in 2020, and it won the Emmy in 2022 is when they won the Emmy, and it was in the year 2021 it aired. So, and then I've done a national spot for the Camus Tires that featured John Wall, former NBA star, and that was really a cool spot there. It was a 30-second spot, and then I also did a national spot for Ford for the Kentucky Derby a couple years ago, And just recently, I did a spot for the Tony Evans Training Center. That was a national ad for radio, and a couple of years ago as well. So yeah, I mean, those are some of and the first one I did, that was the one I was mentioning about the soccer game. That was a tease for the game, but that was a national spot that aired on a cable network. But yeah, I mean, I've was the voice of Community Bank. I did that for like 3 years, and that was more of a regional commercial that aired in like Mississippi and Tennessee, Florida. So yeah, my voice has gotten out there, and I want to keep it going.
Oh my goodness. Well, congratulations on all of that.
Thank you.
Any projects that you're currently working on, or maybe a better
Yeah,
question? Yeah, go ahead. Answer that one. I have another one.
yeah. Well, I've been doing a couple of audio books for um, and he's a good buddy of mine, but he's a very successful um financial advisor. He's one of the top in the nation. A guy by the name of Cedric Powell. He likes to dabble into writing. So I've done about five of his books, and they've been positive books about how to succeed in business. And he even did a book. He wrote a book on Kobe Bryant, 10 Rules, and the former, deceased basketball player. He was a big admirer of Kobe Bryant, and I just finished that book that should be out on Audible. It was all of the books that I've done with him. It's been this summer, and it just is short stories, nothing too long. But I did that, and I did his book, She Rich, and that was dealing with women, working in finance and how to make sure they're making right decisions about their money and that sort of thing. So those are some of the books that I've done, and but going forward, I'm looking to, like I said, do more coaching, and I really like that as well. Got, like I said, a couple of students, and I really enjoy teaching or sharing my dream and then teaching them to pursue their dream as well.
Awesome. And we will definitely get more information, detailed information about your coaching in a few more minutes. So
Mhm.
don't worry, you will have an opportunity to promote that more for anyone who would like to sign up with you. I
Okay.
do want to ask one more question before we start to segue into what's coming up, which is the fun segment. But one more question to ask. Is there a project or maybe a commercial or anything that you haven't done but you would love to do? It's kind of like that big goal, that big vision project.
Yeah. My dream. It's funny, just to say a little bit. I'll try to make this quick, but um, it's just a heck of. I mean, life is really funny. I think the man upstairs has a great sense of humor because when I was there used to be a narrator. I mean, I would love to answer your question. I would love to do work for like NFL Films or the NFL Network, something like that, some sort of narration for that. And the reason why, was growing up as a kid, there was a narrator, a guy named John Facenda, who had this voice of God, and his voice was so impactful. I remember my watching it as a kid. My mother would be in the kitchen, doing, cooking dinner or whatever, and she would hear his voice, and she would say, "Oh my goodness, he has such a great voice." And at that time, and my voice hadn't changed, and it's just so ironic that um, since the eighth grade, I've had this deep voice. So since my voice changed like in the eighth grade, and I hated it at the time, and now I look at this how I end up doing this. It's just so funny. If my mother was still alive, we would be laughing at this because I remember that moment of, how she liked him so much. And I used to watch NFL films as a kid. So, I mean, that's would be kind of like my dream job if I was to do a narration for that. So that's what I kind of think about sometimes is to be able to do that.
That is so cool. Well, we're speaking it into existence here on this podcast. So good deal. Awesome. All right. So, as I just mentioned, let's go ahead and transition over to my fun segment. And
Okay.
if you would, I would like to ask you two or three questions. And we don't have to stick on a topic of voiceovers or mindset or purpose discovery. This is where you're just able to have fun and give our listeners an opportunity to get to know other sides of you. Sounds good?
Sure. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Alrighty. So, my first question for you is, what is your biggest pet peeve?
I think I have, well, two things I don't like. One of them, you're going to be surprised that. I mean, one of them is a food, okay? Um, I've never, and my wife always, says, "How do you not like this?" I've never liked carrots. I don't know why, but that's my pet peeve is that I don't want carrots. As a kid, I used to think that, carrots are just so beautiful, and then you just want to bite into it. And then as a kid, I was just like, really? This is it? The flavor of it. I hated the flavor. And when I grown up as I got older, yeah, the things that my mother used to cook for me, like greens, I didn't like, but I like them now. Spinach, I didn't like, but I like them now. All that, those rest of those vegetables, I like now, but I've never liked carrots. I just, if you put that on my plate, I'm not eating it. I just don't like the taste of carrots. I don't know what it is. It's beautiful. It's a great, nice orange look to it. Look like it's going to taste so good. But when you bite into it, it's like, really, this is it. So that's me. I don't like carrots. I don't like mixed. My mother used to put mixed vegetables on there. I was like, oh, come on. I mean, I'll eat the peas, I'll eat the green beans, but man, get the carrots out of here, please. So that's my pet peeve there. I don't like carrots at all. So
That
so
is
yeah.
hilarious. Oh my gosh. So, are you going to share? Didn't you say you have two? Or is
Well,
we're
I
going to stick
think
with
I
that one?
mean for me, I was telling you about moved to warm weather. I got tired of cold weather. So for me, but now that I live in Florida, I mean, when it gets cold here, it's kind of like a joke, right? I mean, when it hits 50, I never wear winter coat here because I just put on like a sweatshirt and a hoodie, and because I like to walk a lot, I like to be outdoors. And sometimes it's been in the 40s when I'm outdoors. But um, I don't want to go back up in it. I mean, I lived in Michigan good portion of my life. I don't miss raking leaves and I don't miss shoveling snow. So that's done for me. I'm done with that part of my life. So I'll cut the grass, I'll trim some hedges, but I'm not I'm not doing snow no more. I'm not raking no more leaves. So those are the things that I've two things I've eliminated that I just don't want to do anymore. So cold weather and carrots.
Carrots. Woo, carrots. All right. Okay. Yes, we definitely learned something about you. Um, all right. So the next question is, what is your favorite item that you've bought so far this year?
Oh, favorite item I bought this year. Um, that was something I did buy earlier this year. Can't think of it. Um, um, hmm, that's a good question. I think it was um, hmm, nothing that really jumps out to me that I bought this year. Um, I know what I plan on getting
Okay.
soon, and but like I plan on buying another car soon. But nothing this year that really stands out to me that I purchased that I can really think of that's really, memorable, I would say. So
Understood.
yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's go to the next question. I don't know if the next question can top the carrot story, but what's a random or fun fact either about you or a random fact that you just happen to know?
Um, Random fact about me. Um, I think, one of the things about me, I think I'm kind of misunderstood in terms of having like a sense of humor. Sometimes I have this deep voice and I come across as being very serious. And, when I first start talking but when you get to know me, you find out that I'm very playful and have a sense of humor. And that's what I think kind of surprises people a lot is um, that that I surprise people when I say funny things or they don't expect it. And they don't expect it because, again, I come across as this with this serious, deep voice. So I think that's one of the things that people find out how silly I am at times.
Awesome. I'll take it. Well, thank you for participating in that fun segment.
Hmm.
And as we start to bring things to a close, I want to give you an opportunity to share either a final takeaway, a nugget of information, or maybe something you maybe forgotten to mention earlier in our discussion today. So share with us any last or final thoughts.
The topic that we were talking about is pursue your dreams, go all out for it. Don't be afraid. Don't have fear. Don't live in fear, because it just brings in so much negativity. Really try to be as positive as you can. I know we're bombarded and surrounded by so much negativity. You see on the news, you see on the internet. A lot of that stuff is just not healthy at all. Your brain can only take in so much. Just put down your phone, put down, get away from the computer and just, relax. And, I try to, just meditate a lot and just relax. And, you got to do those things that to keep your battery recharged. And, we talked a little bit earlier about, negativity, having the right people in your life because they drain so much. The wrong people can drain your energy, and you don't want that. You want to be around people who keep recharging your battery. Keep it going, keep it going.
Wonderful, awesome way to end our segment for today. And this is where, as I mentioned earlier, I want to give you an opportunity to let our listeners know how can they support you. For those who may be interested in hiring you as their coach, please share that information. And if you
Sure.
have any courses that are out, any books, or your website at the least, please just let our followers know how can they support you and contact you.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm open to working with anybody who maybe is an author and looking to take their book to the next level and create a audio book for that. I can definitely discuss that process and, explain how painless it is. And anybody that's does have a business that's, watching, if they're looking for a brand voice or they're looking for someone to bring some energy to their business. Or I mean, I definitely can do that. And you can go to, or the last thing is absolutely, I'm looking to do coaching and bring people into voiceovers because it is a fun career. You can do it full time or as a side hustle, whatever floats your boat. But you can go to my website at www.gregc, voiceovers with an S at the end. So Greg, Greg, and then C like cat, voiceovers .com, and check out my work. You can email me from there, or my contact information's on there if you want to call me as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, everyone, make sure you go support. I want to thank you, Greg, for this discussion. It was great
Absolutely.
conversation, and it we definitely shared a lot of inspirational, motivational, and practical things that people can absolutely use. So thank you so much for your time and providing
Absolutely.
value to this platform. And for everyone else, if you are listening and if you would like to be a guest on the Nrgy Speaks Life podcast, please contact me. Go to my website, nrgspeakslife.com. As far as this episode, if you enjoyed it, or if you think someone you know will enjoy it, go ahead and share it. And then make sure you subscribe so you can get notified of the next episode. Always remember that when you master your mind, when you master your emotions, and when you master your assignment, you can live your purpose and live on purpose. Until next time, Coach Nrgy, I'll talk to you soon.